The Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series has hit its critical halfway point as a full field of 38 gathers for round 4 at Queensland Raceway. Aaron Noonan with you at a place where plenty of teams hold a home track advantage, and the chase for title leader Tony D'Alberto continues. Brad Jones joins me, and this is a simple layout on paper that can really puzzle teams.
Not the most technical circuit we go to, but has its own demanding areas. That run into turn 1 is very bumpy. You can outbrake people and pass them at 3, into 6, not so much at 4, but to get the most out of the cars this weekend, you've just got to have the balance perfect.
Plenty of changes for this weekend's round of the Fujitsu Series at Queensland Raceway. One of them is very, very important in terms of things for Luke Yilden from HPM Racing. He steps into a BA Falcon for this weekend after running the older model AU in the first 3 rounds of the championship. This is the ex-Dexion team car. Jonathan Webb looking for his best result here. This is Stone Brothers territory. Queensland Raceway is the home test track for that team. And we're joined this weekend by the reigning champ in the NZ V8 Series, Johnny McIntyre, returning to V8 Supercars for the first time in some 3 years. He'll drive the second of the Prodigy Fujitsu cars. Ashley Cooper rejoins us too. He debuted at Winton, but some engine problems in practice forced him out before he even got to the starting grid. He's back for Sydney Star Racing this weekend. Behind the wheel of an ex-DJR Falcon, another series returnee, Stephen Voigt, another Queensland driver looking to use some home track advantage. And on the improve, Marcus Zukanovic, fresh from his best performance in the last round at Winton. The ex-Garth Tander Toll HSV Commodore certainly has been coming on strong. And Marcus Marshall, recently signed by Jack Daniels Racing for Sandown and Bathurst, back to drive one of 2 Matthew White Team Falcons. Grant Denyer gets back behind the wheel. It's a new car for Grant, the ex-Stone Brothers Falcon used by Michael Caruso in the first 3 rounds of this year's championship, as Caruso gets his hands on an ex-Ford Performance Racing Falcon for this weekend and the rest of the season. And of course, any time he's in front of Tony D'Alberto is useful in terms of championship points.
Definitely, yeah, that's what we need to be doing for the rest of the year, and hopefully this little bit of pressure will, force him into an error, or, if not, we're ready to take some wins away now.
Stick around. After the break, the highlights of race 1, round 4 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series. Let's take a look at highlights of race 1 of the Fujitsu V8 Supercar Series from Queensland Raceway. The poleman Michael Caruso was supposed to be joined by Jonathan Webb on the front row of the grid, but a pit lane penalty from not using the speed limiter in qualifying put him to the rear.
And it really ruined his weekend. When you think about it, this competition is so tight now that a rear of the grid start, it's going to take him 3 races to get back anywhere near the front.
Damien Assailant there in the mid-pack, qualified strongly. The young 17-year-old Jose Fernandez used some of the grass, some of the dirt, and then some of the bitumen on the run down the long straight to turn 3.
And the problem doing that in this pack early on in the race is it's a long straight. You lose too much speed down that straight.
Now, Brett Hobson, a new engine for this weekend, and he started from the pits because the car wouldn't start under its own power on the grid. So the real fight, though, was here between Marcus Marshall and Shannon O'Brien, driving on his home track at Queensland Raceway. It's the highest we've seen him all season.
It is. I spoke to Wally during the race meeting, and he's found something with the car. He's pretty happy with it, and certainly it's showing in terms of track speed. This thing is very fast. There's no doubt about that.
When we talk about Wally, we're talking about Ian Walburn, a long-time crew chief and engineer in a wide variety of motorsport. Damien White was busy in the mid-pack with some new backing this weekend from the new National Basketball League franchise, the Gold Coast Blaze. I'm not sure how that works, considering he's from Wollongong, the home of the Hawks.
Grant Denyer had a tough start to the weekend, qualified 16th, and here we've got a clutch problem. The car just has no drive whatsoever. We can hear him trying to get it into gear and looking for a place to park it.
No luck for Grant as he pulls infield, and that meant a tough weekend. And look, some damage to the front of that car from a very busy opening few laps, but sat out the last round at Winton, a real shame.
Really needs the miles. He's got Bathurst and Sandown coming up and really wanted to put his best foot forward this weekend.
Sam Walter recovered from a spin down there at turn 6, one of the Greg Murphy Racing Commodores, and like the time when they ran with Tasman, they've struggled for pace here this weekend. Then a fire started to take hold on the Gardenia car after it set the grass alight.
Always difficult to find a place to park these cars when they go off the road, especially when the ground's as dry as it is here. Marcus Sakanovic, great job in this race, really impressed me. Qualifying, he was on top of the game and he was driving the car really well. Certainly doing a very, very good job in the car, and he's not taking any prisoners here. He's working very hard on Yulden. You see Yulden lock the brake a little bit, too wide. Marcus's car's a little bit loose, but he's certainly got that thing by the shirt collar and he's throwing it around. Andrew
Thompson made a dive on the inside and started position 9. A disappointing qualifying for him with a clutch problem in the Howard Racing Falcon. Marcus Sakanovic in the car that Garth Tander won the main series round in last year at Queensland Raceway. Turn 3, a busy place at Queensland Raceway. Thompson and Sakanovic went side by side on the exit here. It was a really, really good fight.
It was a good fight. Then neither of them willing to give in, and as you can see, whoever's on the inside gets a little bit of a run, and Marcus has certainly got that car stopping well. He's just a little bit stronger under brakes.
Thompson looking for the switchback between 4 and 5, and the Kiwi, Kane Scott in the spec Commodore, just in behind. The run to turn 6. Another of the passing opportunities here at Queensland Raceway. Thompson made a move, but it wasn't good enough. Hit the back of Sakanovic, and a real shame for the Opus Prime Commodore, and Thompson would receive a drive-through post-race penalty added to his race time.
And if we watch, this gives you the perfect example of how hard it is to find a spot to go. You just never know. And you dive in there, and as you saw, he took off, but the car was quite slow getting across the road, and it balked the guys coming at him a little bit, and there was a bit of controversy about that.
There was more drama back in the pack down at turn 3 by the looks of it. Mark McNally had a good test session recently at Winton, but that speed hasn't translated into the Queensland Raceway round. He and Sam Walter got together, and then Jonathan Bykoff came off the road in the Ethanol Falcon, and that car he shares with his father Shane. Aaron McGill, further dramas for the HPM team, stepping into the car that Luke Yulden's raced so far this year, but he had some more dramas while Yulden charged his way through out in front in the BA. But Michael Caruso really was the class of this race. He and Shannon O'Brien stretched away from our championship leader, Tony D'Alberto.
And it would have been great to see Shannon O'Brien get by these guys a little earlier. Had a good turn of speed, but really no one had anything for Michael Caruso. Yulden, his first run in the BA, really acquitted himself very well. He was all over D'Alberto for the duration of the race. I think it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the next couple of races.
Tony D'Alberto, first in the championship, has a nice buffer over Michael Caruso, but Caruso in the Ford Rising Stars Falcon starting to eat back. He took race 1 at Queensland Raceway. Some congratulations there from Ford Performance Racing. They'd certainly be very proud of their old car. Marcus Marshall was strong too in one of the Matthew White Falcons. Chased home, Jose Fernandez and Adam Sharp the next across the line, but a career best result for Shannon O'Brien, taking second spot clear of Tony D'Alberto. Luke Yulden, great run from the BA. Kane Scott chasing the championship, finished in 5th. Now the tradition of Kiwis finding their way into Australian motorsport continues this year in the Fujitsu V8. Kane Scott, Chris Pither are both in their second season, and now they're joined by current Kiwi V8 champ, John McIntyre.